reality seekers and finders, and welcome to the Way of Truth number 72. If you are new here, my name is Artem Boytsev. I'm a spiritual teacher. I live in San Francisco Bay Area in Northern California, and I teach the path to liberation through a combination of meditation, compassionate presence, inquisitive dialogue, and direct transmission. I host retreats in Northern California and sometimes in Europe. I also see students at my home. I support students over text and video, if this is what you're interested in. And I also host this bi-weekly satsangs. In addition to those satsangs, so those satsangs are public YouTube satsangs, anybody can join. So in addition to those satsangs, I also host private satsangs to my students on my Discord community. So these meetings, these YouTube meetings are public, and anyone can join them. By the way, I forgot to mention, this is my website, and it has a number of my writings on the topic of spiritual awakening and enlightenment. So if you wish to join this public satsang, this one in particular, I host them every couple of weeks. Please follow this link, which I just posted to YouTube chat. And also, to make it easier for you, I also did a QR code, so you can pause the video and scan this QR code. So if you wish to speak to me, I always encourage the most direct method of communication. And by the way, if you haven't been to a retreat but considering it, please do consider it, because the more direct method of communication is the better. But if for some reason you don't want to do that, then you can simply submit your question or comment in chat, in YouTube chat, and I will be able to bring it on screen and address it. So before we do that, we don't have any guests right now. So a couple of small announcements. First of all, we have recently released a new video in a new format. It's called "Feeling is Not Doing," and it explores the confusion that many people struggle with between actually feeling the sensations and thinking about them. And what it actually means to feel. So to a lot of people, to feel means to kind of recreate the sensation by thinking about it. And so we're also trying out a new format, so please check it out. It's in the recent videos playlist. It's called Feeling is Not Doing, and let us know what you think about this new format. So far, the feedback has been positive, so we'll keep doing that. Also, another important piece of news is that the retreat in Northern California on May 15th to 18th is almost sold out. So we have, but we do still have 4 spots left, 2 male, 2 female. So if you are interested, please send us an email to retreats@truefreedom.org. Let me also post this email in a comment, or you can also join our Discord community. And yes, this is the email, and contact Katya or myself. You can also write to us on Instagram. So if you're interested, this retreat is going to take place in a secluded location about 1 hour drive away from Sacramento, and about 3 hours, I think 2.5, 3 hours drive away from San Francisco Bay Area. So yeah, that's it for the announcements. And we don't have any live guests right now. I don't have any comments either. So when that happens, I usually look at the backlog of my questions from my Discord community. So let me take a look what I have. Interesting question. Okay, so we have Carol. Actually, we have Carol. Okay, Carol. Yes, you're the first one and the only one so far. Yes. Carol, hi. You're on stage.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Nice to meet you, Artem.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. So this is my first time. So do we just start with your discussion with like me or other participants?
However you wish to start. So if you want to share something, ask a question, want me to talk about something, whatever, it's completely up to you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I have been um uh I don't know, kind of working up the courage to ask a question on in a more
Mhm.
public setting. Yeah, but I would like to just share a bit about myself and ask you like a question I have about on this stage. So I've had um well, the trigger for my journey has that I have a lot of tension in my body. Um and I eventually learned to I realized it was because of my mind was so fearful. It was like clenching really, really hard on certain parts
Mhm.
of myself to stay in control, to repress
Mhm.
emotions. Um, so anyway, after a long journey, I learned to work on the tension with my awareness.
Mhm.
Uh, so I feel like the scope of the tension, especially alongside my midline, the spine, I'm able to. I feel like I've shed like layers of the tension, so
Mhm.
it's like kind of like whittling down the width of the tension area, and I can feel like accompanying that, like layers of conditioning are just falling away. It's kind of like the conditioning was in the tissues, was in the tension, in the contraction. Um, so that's been my path, mostly just working with my awareness, some mindful movement to release the energy and get more awareness around the contraction. Um, I feel like I've reached a point where like I'm getting closer to the core of the tension, and I don't know how to. I have been doing what I used to, and I feel like, but I don't know. I feel like I'm getting to the core where the mind is really, really scared to let go and let
Mhm.
the feelings come up because I still don't feel easily like emotions. I feel there's still a lot repressed emotions that are held in the core of the contraction, and I'm just wondering like how to work through that last like the fair barrier where the mind really needs to let go of control and let the feelings come up because I still don't access like repressed emotions. I think not that well. I mean, I'm more aware of the emotions sometimes, but I don't remember much of my memories, or I don't feel the past emotions from whatever childhood or trauma. So I feel like there's still a lot there.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if, oh yeah, how to, because I think one of my defining characteristics is I'm very afraid to feel.
Mhm.
Like my whole makeup is around that. Like very afraid to feel. That's how I managed to contract myself so hard. I would go to body workers and they'll be like, "Have you been in car accidents?" I'm like, "No." But I managed to wound myself up very
Your
hard.
body's so tense. That's
Hmm.
why they ask you. What they ask. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Well. First of all, thank you for sharing. And this is, I would say, that's the path of most people. It's just a question of how deeply we repress ourselves. But it is the path of shedding the repression, and all the repression is connected to the false stories of the mind, and all the repression is also connected to bodily tensions. So working with awareness to release the bodily tensions, to give it attention, to investigate it is actually the most important, is the most overlooked part of the spiritual path. So I'm very glad that you're doing it. With regards to your question, first of all, kind of, even though there are some, even though there are moments of identification, of disidentification, there are some moments of perceptual shifts of reality on the spiritual path. When we're speaking about working with repressed emotion, uh, there is never a moment where kind of, okay, so I just uh, I just opened up some last layer and everything flows completely freely from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Because if everything is completely freely from now on, there is no repression at all, right? So it's like it's complete and full enlightenment in the meaning, at least, that the past has been completely resolved and all repression is coming from the past. So practically speaking, it doesn't happen this way, even though there could be moments of tremendous relief and tremendous opening up, after which emotions flow much more freely, right? But you can think of it as the path of loosening resistance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whereas in the like initially it's very hard to feel, then it becomes easier, kind of the resistance less and less time, and it's less intense, and then feeling starts to happen faster and faster and faster and faster. So don't look for some kind of final solution to anything, but rather work with what you have. That's an important bit of it. And when it comes to the core of your question, so you feel like you probably intuit correctly. So you feel like there is some uh, uh, deep allowance, some deep uh, some deeper letting go that has to happen, and it is connected to in the to how tense your body is. It's true, but let me ask you. Let me reverse this question, right, and ask you this: instead of asking how do I make it happen, let me ask you, have you noticed the ways in which you prevent it from happening?
Mm, yeah, yeah. Like I'm usually in a chronic contracted state, but when I'm triggered and I feel kind of like energy rising up, I quelch it. Like I contract even harder to stop it.
So how do you do that exactly? That's the question.
Oh, I think I clench my body and go into
Uh-huh.
my head. Hmm.
You clench your body and go where?
To my thinking.
Into your thinking. So that's exactly what you need to practice. So I mean, not that, but the opposite of that. You
Hmm.
see. So once you notice, that's very good that you're aware of it. You see, this is extremely important. So whenever you notice that you clench your body, that you tighten your body somewhere, and you start thinking, right? So first of all, recognize that the reason that you start thinking so much is because you're afraid to feel what's coming up, and you're trying to strategize your way out of it,
Right.
right? Or uh, ruminate on it, kind of solve it intellectually, one way or another, or explain it to yourself. But basically, the mind is trying to protect you. But in
Right.
this case, you are safe. So in this case, it's a misdirection. So the mind is your friend. It's like a little puppy that is trying to protect you. So tell to yourself, that that's okay. That's right. I know we're trying to protect ourselves, but we don't need it right now, right? We're safe. It's okay. It's safe to feel. We don't need to overthink it. We can go right into the feeling, and then see where you clench into the body, where you clench in your body, where you tighten the body, and see if you can relax it. So take awareness away from the mind, from the stories, into the tension, into the bodily tension. And you do this for as long as it needs to be done. You see, it can be a long practice, but that's the reversal that you need to practice. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I feel like I'm more able to catch it now. Like before, it would be so automatic that it's instant. But
Yep.
now, yeah,
Yep.
I become
Yep.
more. Yeah, there's a bit more gap. Hmm.
And the more you notice, the easier it will be for you to know. So every time you notice it, you practice it. You practice taking your attention from the mind into the body, into the tension. You can use some ritualistic things, like you can say it's all right, it's okay. You can hug yourself. You can say it's okay. We're safe. Let's just feel whatever it is that we try not to feel.
Hmm.
And the more you do it, the quicker you will notice next time. You see, so this direction is a sign of progress. That before it was so unconscious you didn't even notice. Now you're becoming more conscious of how you do it. That's wonderful. That's very good. And so the more you practice it, the faster you will notice, the easier it will be, and then the emotions will start flowing. And it will be difficult at first, but then you will actually start enjoying it, because you will get the taste that releasing the emotion is actually liberating, and it makes you feel lighter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe you already have.
Yeah, some, yes. Could I ask a follow-up question about, so I once took like ayahuasca like before when I was really desperate. I just couldn't feel my body at all, and it kind of like, it was a very very hard journey. I think it just uncorked the mind's control of the emotion. So I was really nauseous, and so much energy was like coming up. Um so that scared me, but it started me being able to be more into my body. um and I know you talk a lot about psychedelics and stuff. I'm wondering if there is a way to work with them a bit more gently to help
Of
me,
course.
but without going into really scary, like,
Of course, of course, yeah. There, you don't need to. I mean, even though I think you intuit correctly that it was still beneficial, right? Even though it was scary, it was still beneficial. But it is an important. That's true. But the question of balance is an important question, right? So generally speaking, you don't need to take so much that you are overwhelmed, right? Because when you're overwhelmed, it also becomes more difficult to consciously investigate your experience
mhm,
and to draw lessons from it, right? So the best kind of learning window, the best dosage is the one that is somewhat challenging still, right? But that doesn't completely overwhelm you. It is because the same process, the same things that you do in meditation, the same things that we
right,
were talking about, how you notice attention, and then you investigate the tension, you go into the tension, that you get some insight, then the mind takes control and tries to control the experience, and you're thinking, then you notice, and you're like, oh, okay, that's just the mind, let's go into the body, and or maybe there's some energy fluctuating in the body, and it asks for your attention. So the the whole process that is going on in meditation happens on a psychedelic trip. It just happens much more intensely, and so it's very easy to get overwhelmed. So pick a dosage that makes this process happen a bit more intensely. So like psychedelics, they push you a little bit into this direction, so it might get a little bit uncomfortable, somewhat more uncomfortable than when you are meditating sober, right? So there will be a little bit more kind of push into feeling that will be difficult to resist, but not to the extent that
mhm,
you are completely overwhelmed, right? So if fear comes up, it's the fear that you can still work through, right? If some discomfort comes up, it's still discomfort that you work through. And so they are wonderful tools in this regard. They reconnect you to acceptance and love. They facilitate emotional release. They they facilitate a reconnection to the raw sensations in the body. But of course, if you take too much, then the danger is that you get scared and you never use them again, you see.
right,
Yeah. And
mhm,
it's possible to get too much with almost anything. Like some people practice extreme forms of meditation, such as meditation in the dark room for many days in a row, and some people have psychotic episodes after such experiences. So so it's a question of balance. You can certainly use them. uh, just pick with experimentation. So start slowly, and then start low, and then pick a dose that is kind of within your capacity, it's still consciousness expanding. It's still bringing more experience into your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in uncomfortable ways. Maybe there is some fear in the beginning, but it's not that completely overwhelms you, and it feels productive and insightful and releasing close to the end of the experience.
Okay. Thank you, Artem.
You're welcome. Thank you for visiting, Carol. All right. Okay. Bye-bye. All right. So there was Carol. I have never spoken to her before. It was a pleasure. So Lotus Child comments emptiness. Yes. And another comment, I would say listen to yourself and your intuition. Yeah, that's also a good comment. I think that he or she is referring to you, Carol, when it comes to I think that it's about the dosage of psychedelic medicine, maybe about something else. But yes, I mean, also listen to your intuition. Yes, if it is too much, then it is too much, right? If you feel like you want to try again, but more lighter, then yeah, do that. It's always a good advice. Yeah, listen to yourself and your intuition. Yes, yes. That's actually, it is such a wonderful advice in general. You see, to everybody who's listening, even I wouldn't even say listen to me, right? Right? I would say listen to me, but then check with your own intuition, check with yourself. If it resonates, if it feels like this is true for you, then take whatever I have to say. If it doesn't feel that if it's true for you, then just throw it out. So my value is only and exclusively how much I can help you realize something for yourself that you would have realized without me anyway. So that's my value. My value is not to tell you things, but to help you inquire and listen to yourself. Okay, so we have a new person. We have Miles. All right. Hi, Miles.
Hey Artem, how you doing, man?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been watching your stuff for a while, and I've wanted to tap into one of these. So happy to be here. I first found you through Frank, through your interview with Frank. And yeah, I don't know. I guess like, what would you say is like the number one meditation to do to just progress the most?
A great question. So I would say without hesitation, okay, well, Lotus Child says none. I don't know what they mean, but no, that wouldn't be my answer. Okay, so I would say, well, I mean, maybe that's what they meant. What I'm going to say, but basically, I would say that undoubtedly the most important form of meditation is do nothing meditation. Is basically when you don't try to do anything at all, when you don't try to control your experience in any way, and you just make yourself open to anything that happens. Maybe that's what they meant when they said none. So there are no techniques in this meditation, right? So nothing that you're training, nothing that you in no way you're trying to change the experience that you're currently having, right? And you just make yourself open to any experience that comes. That is by far the most potent and true form of meditation. That's actually a true meditation. I think Adyashanti calls it the true meditation. So the true meditation is simply being open to any experience that is going to happen. Now, all other forms of meditation are kind of auxiliary forms of meditation. They can be very important in the beginning. So in the beginning, it can be when we are just learning to unglue ourselves from the stream of thought, where the attention is constricted upon. Concentration meditation can be very helpful. It can help you prepare to explore the rejected, suppressed conscious experience, and to kind of get out of the mind into the immediacy of experience, into the sensation. Self-compassion meditation can be extremely important. Can be very useful for a lot of people, or compassion, or metta meditation, compassion to other beings. If you're more of a selfish side, or self-compassion, if you're really struggling, with self-love and self-acceptance. So, because a lot of the things that we go through in life, especially in this conditioned state of consciousness, very difficult, and the spiritual awakening is not possible without tears. It's not possible without fear, without anger, without experiencing quite intense, difficult things. If we didn't have them suppressed, there wouldn't be no question of seeking. So if we're seeking something, then we're also suffering. So developing this attitude of love and compassion and understanding towards oneself can be very heart-opening and important. And then,
sorry, I was just gonna say, like, when you say, like, if we're seeking something, we're suffering.
Yeah.
Like, is that ultimately true? Because, like, do you still want more stuff in your life? Like, do you not want anything else besides what's right in front of you? I guess. Like if I ask you, like, if you wanted more money, like, would you say? Can you make the distinction there for me? I guess.
It would be nice. Here's the distinction.
Okay.
It would be nice to have more money, but not because, like, for me, right? I mean, right now I'm earning much less than I'm spending. I do mostly charitable work, so I'm reliant in a lot of ways on people's donations, which don't cover my monthly expenses. It would be nice to have more money, but it's not. But it won't make me happier. There's a difference. It will make my life more convenient, right? So I wouldn't have to spend time and energy on things that I spend on it now.
But those inconveniences.
I would have.
Oh, you go ahead. Go.
I would have more time to do what I really love, which is helping people and creating more content and things like that. So those inconveniences, they are not. It's like they don't make me more or less happy.
Right.
You see, just like for example, I could even enjoy some of those things, right? Just like the need for me, for example, the need to wash my dishes doesn't make me less or more happy. You see, I could even enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say, yeah, it would be nice if somebody did it for me, right? I would have more free time, right? But when I need to do it, it's not like I detest it, right? I can do it very joyfully, because it's also fun. It's also interesting. So in the separatist state, we think there's this illusion, and I had it too. When I actually was also, I spent some time, some years of my life trying to become rich. Uh, I had this illusion that if I had more money, I would be happy. Actually, I would be happier. I would be more content. But the contentment can only be found in the present moment. The contentment of enlightenment is a continued contentment. It comes from the depth of our being. It's basically the pleasure of being alive. So the most fundamental source of my happiness is not what I have, is not the circumstances, but just the fact that I'm alive. It's my existence, basically. So, so for as long as my body doesn't ache, I'm always happy, right? I'm always content, right? And those things like that I have to do for money, or like, do I have to wash dishes and stuff? They on this in this context, on this background, they're like they are as inconvenient as like imagine that you love hiking and you go out in a beautiful forest, with a gorgeous scenery in wonderful climate and a wonderful weather, and you have this gorgeous walk, and the weather is perfect and your companion is perfect, and I tell you, well, the weight of your water bottle is in your head. In your head. Doesn't
So
it
it's
inconvenience?
significant, right?
And people would be like, well, yeah, of course it would be nice if somebody carried it for me. But do you understand like how
It's not going to kill your vibe as like the entirety of your experience because it's just like a micro spec.
right, it's like a micro, because that's not, it's like compared to the experience that you're having, it's just like a super minor inconvenience, like 150 grand
Yeah,
in your,
that
like,
makes a
well,
lot of
a little
sense.
bit more than that, but let's say like, I know, a pound in your hand doesn't matter, you see. So it's
Right.
kind of the same so like, I live, I could say that, of course, compared to like, I live in the United States, I had a more or less successful career before enlightenment. So compared to a lot of people in very poor countries, my life standards are very good compared to the life standards of a lot of multimillionaire Americans. I live very, very modestly, right? But that doesn't bother me at all. That's not like, I because you see, in the separate state, the mind derives pleasure not from the actuality of your experience, but from the psychological comparison. Am I
Like where
richer
you
than
think
the
you are,
person?
what you think your life circumstances
Exactly,
are.
exactly. Yeah. Am I better than this person? Am I better than like myself previously? Am I moving into their direction? Do I have a better car than my neighbor? Where do I stand in society, right? And I know this because mine also used to derive, when you derive pleasure from the actual experience, it doesn't much matter what car you drive. I mean, they all very comfortable. Yes, of course, some are a little bit more comfortable than others, but the fundamental raw experience of putting your ass in the seat and then taking the wheel and then driving, it's actually very, very similar. Very, very similar. But of course, the brand, the image, the prestige, that's not similar at all, right? And so the same thing applies to all the other things, like, for like 2 or 3 years, I didn't even have a bed. I had just a mattress on the floor. We just recently bought a bed for me. I didn't have a bed for like 3 or 4 years or something like that. I just had a mattress on the floor because it doesn't matter, when I'm sleeping, it's really like for the comfort of my body. It doesn't matter at all, right? Yes, it's nice, like it looks nice when you have a bed, but for the comfort of, like, for the actual physical experience of sleeping, it doesn't matter at all. you know? So,
Yeah.
so there are things that matter only when we think about how other people view us. And then there are things that actually matter because of how they feel, right? So in enlightenment, the first category completely goes away.
Interesting. So you're not conceptualizing like how other people are thinking. You're basically like completely immersed in your own direct experience.
Correct. Yes. I don't care how other people view. I mean, if I do care, I only care practically, right? So meaning like, if I need to present myself a certain way so that they don't hurt me, or so that they kind of collaborate with me, that I will try my best, right? But my inner experience is not in itself disturbed or changed by their opinion of it, which is actually the opposite in the separate state. In the dream state, our experience very deeply depends on how other people view, and we try to conform. And when we get judgment or harshness or condemnation or rejection, then it hurts. So we are concerned not with the actuality of our lives, but with how to live our lives in the way that doesn't hurt, which actually in reality translates to how to live our life in the way that other people will approve of. And that's the prison.
Yeah. Is that what's at the heart of all of it?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. That's what at the heart of all of that. And that's actually also what's at the heart of the callousness and cruelty of our society. Because actually, that's why we love children so much. Small children, they are completely enlightened beings. So they live in the moment. They love unconditionally, right? So in order to make them into adults that are very cruel to each other, we need to teach them to hate. We need to say, okay, this behavior is despicable, and this person and deserves punishment, and this person is a low person. You see, kind of our society is very hierarchical. We all try to like climb over each other, and then we clap to those up there, and then when we despise and judge those down there. And so a child internalizes this message, and even if you are on the surface a winner, and conqueror, whatever, who is looks condescendingly at losers and despises them or even cruel to them, but you are still fundamentally very miserable, because you do this in order to conform to society. You were taught to do this because you think that this is what makes you worthy. This is what makes you worthy of love. This is what makes you worthy of acceptance, being able to dominate other people, for example. So even when even when seemingly you are the one who sets the rules, you are the one in control, you're like the president of whatnot, inside your psyche, you're still a slave.
To other people's expectations, essentially.
Yes.
Wow. And your own like feeling that you're going to get something out of giving them what they want.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, it's very well said, and it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
I guess, like, what about like control? Like, do you feel like you're in control? Like, that's kind of a loaded question. I feel like.
No, that's actually a very good question. So I feel like I'm in complete control of myself.
And when you say yourself, what specifically are you talking about?
This
organism,
let's say, of my behavior, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm in complete control in the things I do, right? And complete control and complete responsibility, right? So I'm in control of what I do. I'm in control of what I say, and I'm responsible for what I do to myself, and I'm responsible for what I say. But I don't control other people. I am completely not in control of other people. I don't control external circumstances. I don't know what life is going to bring tomorrow. The dream state is the opposite. So in the dream state, so in the dream state, you continuously try to control other people by telling them how they should behave in order to please you or in order to be more moral individuals. Just look at our politics, right? So shaming, condemnation, even in the romantic relationship, you try to control your partner because you view them as a source of your happiness. And so it's important for you so that they stay the source of your happiness. That's the source of jealousy also. You try to control the external circumstances as much as you want. You put as much as you can. You put a lot of effort into it because you're scared. Because you think that by controlling the external circumstance, you can get happiness. At the same time, you have very little control over yourself, right? Like people, for example, people get angry, and then they say a lot of mean things, and they say, "Oh, I didn't mean it," I don't know what came over me, or like, "Oh, I was like so upset." So at the same time, uh, when people get upset or triggered or mad or angry, they oftentimes do a lot of things that they regret. You see, so this because they don't have it themselves, right? Because they live through conditioned self, and the conditioned self doesn't know how to deal with the uncomfortable inner experience in any other ways than to try to control the environment. Because we are all because we are brought up in this society that is very deceitful, that is actually quite cruel and unloving, but it tries to present itself as moral, and a lot of people are exactly the same way, right? And so the mind is very confused, and instead of investigating the inner confusion, the inner experience, the unreality of this persona that we adopt in order to conform, it is misdirected into thinking that the happiness lies in the external circumstances.
Right. No, I definitely get that. I guess like whenever you say I'm in control of myself, isn't it almost like implicating a little bit of a separation between the I and then the self that it's in control of? Or like, can you kind of talk about
No, not really. No, not at all. Why? I mean, you can you can take like any super like enlightened person who says there is no separation, there is no I, and then if I can come and to him and say, could you please stand up, and they stand up, and I can ask them, did you do that? Or and if they respond, no, it just happened. What does it mean? I mean, am I in control of them now? I mean, the question of free will is actually the question of a lot of a lot of confusion in spirituality. The ego doesn't have free will. The separate self, the false self, doesn't have free will at all. At all. So from the perspective of the ego, from the perspective of the separate self, it is important actually to surrender to non-existence of free will, and it was important for me. And I went also through the period where that lasted a few years, where I was kind of in my direct experience. That my direct experience was that that there is no self, there is nothing, there is just everything just happens, and things like that. That was also a somewhat delusionary period. I mean, I do have free will. I choose things. If I didn't choose things, I would not be able to choose to become enlightened. That was also my choice, fundamentally. Ultimately, it was not the ego's choice, but it was fundamentally my choice.
Yeah, I'm just trying to grapple with like
It's just a very different perspective. You see,
no,
it's like
sure.
it's the perspective there are very different perspectives in the beginning, like the ego's perspectives and the kind of a perspective of let's say healthy individual, a healthy human being with no ego or with very little ego, are very different.
Yeah, so like the first one would be like, oh, I'm a self, like somewhere in here that's like thinks it's pushing and pulling on a reality that's out there.
Yep.
But then what would the second one be? Because like, I mean, it's too.
I can't even tell you if I am I could tell you that I'm awareness, but it's not actually how it feels like. I mean, what it feels like. So this is me. So this individual, this human being, is me, right? So you can say everything is me. Awareness is me. The mind is me. The body is me. Every inch of the body is me. It's kind of it's kind of a circular path. You kind of coming back to where you started, because that's the only way to actually experience life, right? You cannot experience life in like, if you take non-duality to the extreme, that is not an experience. You see, because in order to have any experience at all, there needs to be interaction. So that needs to be some duality, right? So if you take the cup of coffee and then you drink it, right, there are at least two objects. Like, first is your body or your hand, if you take it, right, and the second is the coffee, right, and they interact, and that creates experience. You go out and you take a breath of fresh air, you interact with the air, right? So if you like take non-duality in the extreme, or God in the extreme, basically is zero experience, right?
Because there's no gap between an experiencer and the experience itself.
No. No, because any experience requires interaction. Any experience is an interaction, basically. You see?
Yep.
Like, if I ask you to give me an example of experience which is not an interaction, you would not be able to do that.
Right.
You could only point, the only thing that you would be able to point is the experience of awareness, as which is not an interaction, right? Mm-hmm. And so kind of, if we're talking about a pure non-dual state, which is just awareness without any experience at all, then it's not living, right? You can say it's sleeping or dreaming, or I mean, not dreaming, but like, you can say it's sleeping, or the experience of deep sleep, or something, but nothing actually happens there. So it's not living. And so ultimately, at the end of the journey, you come back to living in the world, in the dual world, but without any separation created by the mind from the direct experience of it, and without any suffering created by the mind. Because the mind creates suffering by first immersing yourself in dependent or controlling emotional relationship with other people, to kind of conform to them or to climb this hierarchy, and also, which is a reflection of it, in continually arguing with the experience that you're having, wanting it to be something else, wanting it to be different.
When it couldn't be.
Yeah. And so this entity that does that actually has no free will at all, and it doesn't exist anywhere else than in the mind. And this entity dies in enlightenment, a kind of a slow, agonizing death. But it's actually quite possible to live without it, and then the experience becomes very raw and pleasurable, and it's not argued with. And the sense of kind of having control over one's own body, or the sense of I, actually reemerges and comes back. So the kind of there is no I at all, everything just happens, is a stage on this transformation. But the transformation runs really, 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 really deep. It runs really deep because the conditioning of the mind and the conditioning of society is very deep.
Yeah. I
So Lotus, they say, I don't agree. I think extreme non-duality is the true experience and interaction solely with God, which is the full state of non-duality. Well, if you interact with God, then there is if you interact with God, then there is duality, right? There's you and there's God. So that's already, that was exactly my point, right? So because any experience is an interaction, right? An experience that is not an interaction is just the void.
Yeah. Like, to that person's point, like, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just trying to voice what I feel like they're saying. And I feel like I've definitely, I can see it. It's like, oh, is this just God experiencing itself? You've heard that.
Yes. But here's the thing, right? You can say that love is God experiencing oneself, right? So from that perspective, right, you can say, I am God, but not in the way that I control the people, or I can not certainly not in this way, right? In the same way. So if I am God, then you're also God, right? So in this way, or only in this way. So in this kind of, from this perspective, God is a very dangerous word, because no one actually has. No one can be God in the kind of in the dangerous sense of the word. But here's the thing: like, imagine the true God, right, which is completely all-powerful, omniscient, is everywhere, and is having and kind of permeates everything, right? So again, in order and actually is everything, right? So the whole universe, the whole multitude of universes, the infinitude of universes, it's all God, right? There's nothing that is separate from God, and God is present everywhere, and it is everything. Now, how can this God experience anything at all, right? So if he's everything that there is, then he's experiencing everything that there is simultaneously, and that's not an experience. right? Uh, uh, just like putting all colors together and mixing them is not a color, it's going to be black, right? So in order to have any experience at all, God needs to create duality. It needs to separate itself into the object, into the subject, like human being in this case, and what the human being interacts with, the environment, right? And then you can say that God can witness that, and that's the consciousness, and that's consciousness. So you can say consciousness is God, and you can say that consciousness is how God experiences itself, which is the whole universe outside of me, through a finite small position of this being. And
I feel like I've heard you say like you don't believe that though.
I don't believe that.
Well, like I don't know. Do you? Do you think that's what's happening?
It's not a question of belief.
Well, it is what's happening.
Yeah, I know that's what's happening. Yeah.
So you're saying that you know that you are like this eternal consciousness just like splitting itself off to have a finite experience?
Of a human being, yes.
So how do you know that you're that like that consciousness? And that you're not just like the human being?
I'm both.
Okay, yeah. But like you're saying after this life, like you'll persist.
No.
Oh no.
What is you in this case, right? When you're saying after this
Well,
life,
yeah, you being the consciousness, not the obviously.
But the consciousness, from the perspective of consciousness, saying consciousness will persist is absurd because if I make this claim that this is what's going on, then I'm simultaneously saying that this consciousness, the very same consciousness, is experiencing lives of trillions of living beings right now. The very same consciousness is experiencing you right now. It doesn't need to persist. You see, it's already experiencing the life of everybody right now at the same time. You see? So the question of will it persist, I mean, that's kind of
Sure, I guess. But like, okay, whenever like your organism like dies, I guess it's not like, there won't be an experience, right?
right, yeah. I mean, maybe
you don't,
there may be some experience during death, but there won't be the experience for me, for this organism that is in any way connected with memory, that could be connected with memory to the life of this organism after death.
well, what do you think about the people that claim that they've experienced like their own past lives?
I thought that that's what they were.
Well, what do you think they are now?
Right now, I think that they are basically deeply conditioned cultural stories, basically.
Okay.
So it kind of so the culture itself is thousands and thousands of years old. So it took us many generations to arrive to the culture that we are today. It's a process of a very long evolution of culture and the evolution of the ego and the evolution of the society. Like, for example, a very significant amount of what we are taught in schools and in general is basically the human history.
Right.
Is so we are taught about wars, we are taught about conflicts, we're taught about
History.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So I think that if I was never taught any of those things, there is no way that I would see the what I perceive to be my past lives.
So you think it was like your mind's fabrication of what a past life would have looked like to trick you into thinking that it was your past life?
Precisely, yeah, yeah. But
That's
that
interesting.
and that, but it wasn't like it wasn't completely without. That's actually very good. I mean, you put these things better than I do in words. You the I very much like this description, but it didn't happen without a reason, because like Adyashanti said when he was talking about his own past lives, there was something there. All of those experiences of me seeing what I perceived back then to be my past life was needed was needed to resolve something, to resolve some fear of life, to resolve some judgment, to resolve some resistance, to resolve some rejection, basically, or to incorporate or integrate something deeper, like
Right.
Like for example, some of the experience that I perceived to be my past lives was an experience of a warrior, right? As somebody who fights, who used to fight, basically, right? So I have always been averse of violence, and I still am. I'm actually a very nonviolent human being, but I was also irrationally scared of it before. So this was an important experience to kind of reconnect to that part of me which actually can fight and kill. You see, so. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, just statistically speaking. I mean, yes, of course, in my ancestry there were people who fought and killed, and pretty much in every one of us, because the human history is
Right.
rife with
Yeah.
conflict. But I mean, do I really think that the details of what I saw were accurate? No, absolutely not. I think that they were informed by the movies that I that I watched about the medieval times, or
But I mean, would you go as far as to make the claim that it's not possible that you could be reincarnating life after life?
I don't know. I don't see any evidence for it. I think it's possible, but I don't understand how it would work mathematically. And I think anything is possible, but
Yeah.
but I mean, it's much more reasonable for me to think
I
that
definitely get what you're saying. Like I've had like astral projection experiences, and like initially I was like, oh, I must be like going to this other realm. But then I'm thinking about it, it's like, or is this just like the way my brain is constructing like what
yeah.
it
Yeah, I think it's just much more mind constructed, because you see, kind of different people when they have different spiritual experiences, they see different things. Like some people could speak to God, some people speak to angels. For some people, it's all very religious, right? And then some people speak to extraterrestrials, and they see a lot of like sci-fi imagery and
DMTLs.
things of it. Yeah. So I think it. Uh, I think that for example, people report encounters with aliens, nowadays, even without any like psychedelics or anything. And I think I don't know, maybe some of those are true, but I think a quite significant percentage of it is a very deep spiritual experience. And I don't think that it has ever been reported historically, before aliens, space travel became a part of our culture. So probably a long time ago, when people were having spiritual experiences, they were communing with angels or some, God, and other entities like that. So I think that it's extremely culturally
influenced.
yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely would
But
agree.
ultimately, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't rule it out either way, right? You can just try to decipher your best. Well, I really appreciate the conversation. I have to go, but it was
Yeah,
great finally getting to talk to you. I've been watching your stuff for a while, so great to connect.
wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that was Miles. Okay, a quick interlude. So I would like to make a quick interlude. So first of all, a couple of things I'd like to ask you. So first of all, please comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not subscribed, it would really help. If you subscribe, it helped me find greater audience. It helped me help more people with my advice. Then you can also subscribe to other social media. We're active on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. Then I would also like to ask you, if you can afford it, I would like to ask you to consider to support my work. So there is this is a link. So I will also, hold on. That's the QR code. So we are a nonprofit organization, so you can submit donation through this link, a recurring donation, a monthly donation, a one-time donation, and it will be tax deductible for you to the amount allowable by law, at least if you are in the United States. And if you're already doing this, thank you so much. It really helps a lot. It helps us pay our bills. We are somewhat struggling with that recently. So if you can submit a recurrent donation, I will be very, very, very grateful to you. Again, if you're already doing this, thank you very much. It helps a lot. And then also, I would like to post a link to schedule one-on-one meeting with me. So if you wish to speak to me, you can post. You can go there. So there's a sliding scale of different prices, and I do a few things in my one-on-one meetings. We do guided meditation, direct transmission, or we also do inquisitive dialogue. So I can point you to the fundamental awareness. We can also we could look at the emotional suppression together. We could look at the tensions together. You could ask me the questions about your spiritual path, and I'll try to help you to the best of my ability. And then finally, I would like you to ask to join our Discord community. So that's the link to join it. So on our Discord community, we also do private satsangs. So the next one is going to be this Saturday. They are unrecorded, and we mostly do energetic, emotional work there. So it's we start with a short meditation, and then we go deeper into our feelings and sensations. So. But we discuss other topics. Also, it's a much more intimate gathering and a much more impactful thing than just watching this video. So if you would like to join my Discord community, please do so via this link. Okay, so I guess that's it. That's all for the things that I wanted to ask you to do. Let's see what comments I have. I have a bunch of comments. Drake is asking, are there a lot of people who pass self-realization and just live a regular life, or do most people who really wake up become spiritual teachers? Huh. That's a great question. I actually don't know. I think that most people who pass through self-realization try to help one way or the other. And the reason is because it's just so mind-boggling how much unnecessary suffering there is. It's completely crazy. It's like really going like one time I compared, so basically going through this process and then living in this world is like taking a wedge out of your heart that was continuously hurting you a lot, and then walking around seeing everybody is walking with their own wedge and don't even know it. So it's extremely, it just opens up so much compassion to humanity, just so much unnecessary cruelty, so much inhumane treatment, so much suffering, that I think it's very difficult not to want to help in some way. I would wager that most people don't try to become public spiritual teachers, like I'm trying to do, like all known spiritual teachers did. But I think that most people try to help in however way they can. So either by teaching locally, I think actually most, I would actually probably suspect that most very good teachers aren't publicly recognized. It's not, there's a very different set of circumstances, so to speak, or attributes that makes one a successfully publicly popular teacher rather than a good one. It's not necessarily the same, even though of course most popular teachers are quite good. I mean it's like in every other occupation. So the people that we know, the people that are popular, right, just like popular actors, are much better than average. But chances are for every very popular actor, there are like hidden gems who are much better, but no one knows about them. So I think that there are probably quite a significant number of people like this. Then people help in different ways. You know, some people help in the field of psychology. Some people just teach meditation somewhere. Some people help by being engaged in the community. And like, for example, there was a rather famous locally, undoubtedly self-realized individual who was kind of spearheaded the whole psytrance movement in the United States, who recently died about a few years ago. His name was Gorgil. So people help, and he organized psytrance parties where people did the healing work and danced and enjoyed themselves. So people help in all sorts of different ways. But I think most try to help one way or another, because it is just so, it's just so heartbreaking what's happening here. Okay, Melissa says, hi, I'm Melissa from New Zealand. Hi, Melissa. I'm not sure if you have posted anything else. Lotus Child says, I'm planning on becoming a full-fledged human business person, travel entertainer, everything there is to do, and being able to help other people in their lives. So yes and no. Well, yeah. Okay, so is solitude a state without ego? Is solitude in a state without ego just as pleasurable as being in social situations in good company? Is this what complete aloneness means? Yes, that's actually a very good definition. So the complete aloneness does not mean that you do not enjoy the company of other people, right? Or I wouldn't like to live my life completely alone, right? Forever. I actually enjoy other people very much. I love my wife very much. Actually, the other people are a much greater source of happiness for me than anything else, and that's normal because we're social creatures. But the complete aloneness means that when you are alone, when you're in solitude, it doesn't hurt, right? And so, of course, it's most prominent and visible in meditation, right? So for most people, meditation is a solitary activity, right? So most people can't meditate for longer than 15 minutes, right? And then if you start meditating for hours and hours and hours on end, then you see how much dependency there is. And then every dependency creates anger and resentment. And so you have to deal with that also. So, but the true psychological aloneness is basically when it doesn't hurt. And being alone is just as enjoyable as being with people, and there's a natural balance in between the two. It's just like with rest and action, right? A complete enlightenment doesn't mean that you don't do anything, but what characterizes the dream state, the separated state, is that not doing anything is painful, it's difficult, it's a restless state. So again, you lie down to meditate, and within a few hours, the mind goes like, oh, less than that, less than within a few hours. Like within less than an hour, usually, again, the mind goes like, oh, this is really bad. We need to do something. This is not productive. You just cannot rest, right? So once you learn to rest, then it goes into balance, and there's a balance between engaging in something and doing something and resting. But resting becomes easy. And so similarly with people, because we're also very dependent, for most of us, learning to be in solitude is what moves us closer to balance. But for some people, actually, it would be the opposite. So it really depends on the person. But for the majority, it is that, because you see also a person who is kind of living like a hermit, they don't actually live in solitude. They live in the kind of they're still surrounded with other people. They just surrounded in a different way, because being surrounded in a physical, real way is uncomfortable for them. So they are surrounded. So they surround themselves with books, movies, and all the other things. So they still interact. They just interact in a safe way. So that's not real solitude. Meditation would be just as difficult. Real solitude would be just as difficult for such a person as for somebody who is kind of more socially inclined. That's a good question. Okay, let's see. Lotus Child says black is also color. Actually, no. Black is the absence of all colors. If we're speaking about colors like strictly scientifically, then a color is a light of a specific length, and black is the absence of lights of light, and white is the mix of all of everything. So black is a color in the same way that bold is a hairstyle. Okay. Carl always says, is it normal that all my trips are kind of hellish after self-realization? Like intense hellish suffering, emotional, or emptiness, absolute total deconstruction? It kind of oscillates between the two. Yes, it's actually entirely normal. And in one of my answers, I actually even say that having good trips after self-realization is usually pretty much impossible, because like every trip after self-realization will uncover more of the suffering, and it will take you deeper into the peace, love, emptiness, and it will continue to deconstruct the ego, because once the focus for happiness, the search basically has turned inwards rather than outwards, we face with the fact that uh, the only thing that prevents us from effortless happiness is the false beliefs, the conditioned mind, the repressed emotions, the ego, basically the constructed narrative. And psychedelics are kind of is an intense form of meditation. So psychedelics will reliably show you more of this narrative, and the experience after the bad part of it, where you feel more love, more peace, more contentment, is what it feels like to not have this specific piece that you went through in the beginning. So pretty much all trips that they have this arc of showing more of the suffering, it usually starts with fear, so show more of the suffering, emotional release, and then deeper emptiness, deeper relaxation, deeper peace, deeper love, tears, things like that. So if it feels like really intense and hellish, my advice would be to just take a little, don't take as much, right? So unless you like intensity. So it doesn't have to be that intense, it doesn't have to be that hellish, but it will be unpleasant. Yes, it is unpleasant to see self-deceit. It is unpleasant to see our discontent, our anger, our hatred, our desperation, our fear. All of this is unpleasant, but all of this covers up like layers the diamond underneath, the beauty, the peace, the love. So it's very, very common to after a certain point of time, for all trips, and just like all meditation, sufficiently long meditation sessions, to have the bad part, and then the release, and then the relaxation. That's a standard arc. Okay. Nicole says, "Don't thank you." Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Lotus says, "Nice answer. I am the hermit." Okay. Black is the absence of color, which means it's the least color of color. Yes, that is true. Is the opposite of the ego autonomy? Also a good question. And the last one, yes, you could say so. You could describe the ego as dependency, right? So, for example, I sometimes said, I said, some people disagree with that, but I say that I don't think that animals have an ego, right? And the only kind of natural dependency in the natural world is until the time that you learn to provide your own food for yourself, and that kind of breaks the dependency, that breaks the attachment of the children, the offspring, to the parents, and they of course don't like it. And I give an example of birds pushing their chicks out of the nest, and they of course don't like it. They're scared. They don't want to do that. They used to kind of have the food provided to them. So in this context, in this background, human beings are basically kind of like children that never grow up. We continue to be deeply dependent on each other, deeply dependent on each other's approval, well into adulthood. And we carry these wounds of rejection from the childhood well into adulthood. It doesn't mean, of course, that you will be materially independent. We can't in this civilization. It's, and I wouldn't want to. I mean, it would be kind of difficult to run a homestead, and it's like even people who run the homesteads, and they still depend on the fruits of the civilization in a very large degree. The fruits of technological development, scientific development. Yeah, but it means that you become independent emotionally. So you could also describe the ego as a hurting, wounded child that is still finding for love outside of themselves, that is still finding for resolution of not having received enough love when they were children. And this is why it's kind of crazy to try to kill the ego. You can't kill the ego. You can only love it to death. You see, it disappears upon being loved. It disappears upon being accepted. It is you. It is literally you. It is literally your inner child. The ego is literally your inner child. You're crying, hurting, wounded, insecure inner child. It doesn't need more condemnation. The condemnation is why it's this way in the first place. It needs more love. It needs more understanding. It needs more allowance. It needs to be told that every emotion is okay. It needs to learn to express and experience emotions that it was scared to. You see, so yes. So from that perspective, it's independence. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. That's an interesting thought. Elliot says, "I think the ego's final wish is to be God, to control everything." Yeah. The ego's final wish is always to control. Yeah, because it's scared. It's not because it's evil. It's because it's scared. It's scared to feel. Basically, it's scared of life. If the ego is a retreat from the very physical immediacy of life into the mind. That's what it is, and the mind tries to control. And a very good question also is, do people who grow up in a very loving family tend to develop small egos? Yes, absolutely. So if it is authentic love, if it is unconditional authentic love, if it's not love conditioned, right, on you being better than others, right? So you get a lot of compliments. You like the best. That's how narcissistic people are brought up. So you're like, you try to always be better than others, and you are complimented for it and loved for it, and then it does form a large ego, the opposite of kind of people who had very critical parents, but it's still based on, they're still formed on the fundamental insecurity. But if we're talking about real, unconditional, accepting, true love and acceptance, then absolutely yes. The more you get that in childhood, the kind of less of an ego you will tend to form. You will still probably form because parents are not the only people who affect you. There's also the general society. It's extremely unlikely to be brought up by two enlightened parents, but I think that in our society, even two enlightened parents would not bring up an egoless child. But yes, it will be smaller. There will be less pain. There will be less suppressed emotion. The process will be less difficult. And yeah, the more abused you were, or the less unconditional love you received, the more difficult the process is usually. Yeah. All right, so yeah, that's it for today. Once again, thank you all very much for coming. I really enjoyed the conversation. We had two wonderful guests. We had a lot of good questions. So I will see you in a couple of weeks from now on YouTube in this public setting. This Saturday there will be private satsangs on Discord. If you're interested in the retreat that is going to happen in May, please let us know. There will be talks, meditations, and workshops on this retreat. Again, physical presence can be very difficult for many people. It can be transformative in itself. Please schedule one-on-one meetings with me. Please support our work and follow this video. I will see you in a couple of weeks. Love you all. Bye. Best of luck to you on the spiritual path.